The Constrictai are reconnaissance experts. Scales. Hello, I'm Sensei the Dark Master, and welcome back to the Lore of Ninjago. In today's video, we shall be covering the fifth and final tribe of the Serpentine. Those orange and black burrowing boas, the Constrictai. As always, we shall be covering their history, abilities, weapons, political structure, and weaknesses. The origins of the Constrictai, much like the rest of these Serpentine, have been lost due to the mists of time. However, it is likely that much like the other creatures of Ninjago, they were created by the first Pinjitsu master and diverged from a common ancestor with the other tribes. The Constrictai, much like the other Serpentine, were not initially antagonistic to the humans, and they tried to warn the humans about the coming overlord, then known as the Golden Master. But the humans interpreted this as the Serpentine attacking them, and the two began to search out and see each other as enemies. Eventually, this tension broke out in a full-blown war, as the Constrictai and the other Serpentine declared war in what would become known as the First Serpentine War. After initial victories led by the Anacondri, Garmadon, Wu, and the Elemental Masters, dejected, discovered the sacred flutes and used them to quickly defeat the various tribes and imprison them each in separate tombs, while the Anacondi generals were banished to the Cursed Realm. The Constricti's tomb specifically being a sealed cavern at the top of the Mountain of a Million Steps. Interestingly, despite being one of the more boring of the Serpentine tombs, it has ancient murals depicting the Serpentine legends of the Great Devourer. Thus, it's actually a little more impactful on the overall lore of the series than, say, the other tombs. The Constrictai were imprisoned until Pythor, who had stolen the Serpentine map from the child Lloyd Garmadon. Zane and Cole tried to stop this, but were unsuccessful as the Constrictai escaped. Their general almost killed them until they were played the sacred flute and he ran away. They then proceeded to serve Pythor's evil plans of freeing the Great Devourer. After Pythor's defeat, they would serve Lord Garmadon, but would toss him out of a copter after his repeated failures. They then went under the orders of Scales, the Serpentine king self-proclaimed, and they tried to collapse Ninjago City into the ground. However, instead, they discovered a tomb and awakened the Stone Warriors, who ended up defeating them and ironically trapping them in a new tomb. The Constrictai and their fellow tribes would eventually find a way to escape this tomb, but decided to renovate it as their new home. They made peace with the citizens of Ninjago, helping them escape the Golden Master and aiding the ninja against the Anacondri cultists in the Second Serpentine War. They would fade from notice, becoming little more than background characters, even compared to the other Serpentine tribes, which is quite a shame. Now, let's go over their political structure. The Constrictai, much like the other Serpentine tribes, are led by a general, the current one being General Scalador. They are distinguished as having a long black snake tail as opposed to regular legs. Beneath the general are the warriors, represented by individuals like Batar. They are powerful soldiers who are less numerous than either regular soldiers and scouts, and have proven themselves repeatedly in battle. Unlike the general, their head spikes are orange, and obviously they have black legs as opposed to tails. Beneath the warriors are the basic common soldiers. represented by Chokan. They are basic foot soldiers for the tribe, and have a more lanky gray head with buck teeth, similar to the Fangpire soldiers like Fang Sui, except they have much shorter legs and are more orange, lacking for the most part black. The lowest and most common of the tribesmen are the scouts, represented here by Snike. They are in general mostly used for scouting and sniping enemies, but more often than not, they fill a similar role to the less common soldiers. They are also, unfortunately, it appears, not inherently good at their jobs. It is quite unfortunate that Snike, despite being a sniper, is both cross-eyed and colorblind. They are also the most humanoid of the ranks, with a slim head tail like the Fangpires, though their face is less humanoid, and in general their coloration is much more orange than the rest of the tribe, and only hints of gray. In terms of appearance, the Constrictai are based off the family of snakes called boids, and possess incredible bulk. They are also in general the shortest of the tribes, due to their childlike legs. In general coloration, the tribe is orange, black, gray, and silver, the higher-ranking individuals getting progressively blacker and less orange, while the lower-ranked individuals have more orange and gray. In terms of abilities, the Constrictai lack the more magical powers of the other tribes. Their trademark attack is the Constrictai grip. It's said to harm people to the extent that they never fully recover unless giving the anti-venom. This may seem magical at first, but if you really analyze it, it's more likely the result of permanent nerve damage than actual magic, as it's quite similar to boids in how they will strangle prey to death. Also, it appears that only generals like Scalador are able to use this trait, making it quite the oddity among the Serpentine powers. Despite this, they still have a number of neat abilities. Firstly, these two should go without saying. They are incredibly strong, and secondly, much like the other Serpentine tribes, can live for a very long time, several centuries in fact. The Constrictai are the best burrowers, enabling them to perform surprise attacks despite their bulky and otherwise clunky bodies. The Constrictai also, in general, seem to have earth as their dominant element, likely due to their habit of burrowing in it. In terms of weaponry, the Constrictai wield many weapons. Scalador wields the Constrictai staff, with its elegant golden cobra design and an orange translucent vial of the anti-venom. The chain design is a very indicating design, as it indicates entrapment. It's a nice little touch, but not really all that important. Warriors often wield two-bladed purple axes, and the golden variant of mini-snakes, which will be covered in a future video. The soldiers often wield a golden flail and daggers, while scouts will wield, in addition to long-range weapons, silver flails, gold flails, daggers, and silver dark blades on occasion. However, for all their strengths, the Constrictai have many weaknesses. Firstly, in general, they're overall less intelligent than other Serpentine tribes, making it far easier to trick them. I mean, they hired a cross-eyed, colorblind guy as a sniper, instead of just elevating him to the rank of soldier and actually making him useful. Clearly, the tribe doesn't have the greatest smarts. Also, this should go without saying, their special ability, the Constrictai grip, is very short-ranged. and is limited, as far as we know, to only one individual, and as such is perhaps the least useful of all the Serpentine abilities. And in general, long-range attacks are very useful in the Constrictai, especially if you're not caught in a trap. Also, if caught in the crushing grip of a Constrictai, relaxing oneself makes it easier to escape them. Also, it appears that you must be held in the grip for a significant amount of time for the Constrictai grip to even be giving you the permanent nerve damage. So if you escape quick enough, there's no side effects. From the Constrictai, we learn that pure brute strength, while a great ability and a definite advantage in some circumstances, is pretty much useless without the strength of mind, given to one by intelligence. Said brute strength is worthless and easily countered by a smarter adversary. As such, we must learn to not only use our muscles, but also our mind when facing adversity in our real life. I'm the Dark Master, and join me next time on the Lore of Ninjago.